Hey guys, what's up and welcome to a new Tesla update video. So today, as usual, let's go over the market and see what kind of, what a day. That's what I'm gonna say, guys. Well, insane. Like, what a market we are in. If you can't see right now, my camera's in the way, but at the bottom here, I have GME and AMT all the way down here, up 30% and 15%. Like, what? Whew, what a day. My goodness, we are in quite a precarious market, ladies and gentlemen. This is, all I'm gonna say is this is not a normal market. We are in essentially a kangaroo market where 1 week will fall 30%, the week after will go up 30%. Perfectly normal, nothing to see here, guys. Everything's absolutely normal, behaving the way it should. But with all that being said and done, let's take a look at what happened. So Tesla ending the day up pretty much 8% at $994 essentially. Just shy of 1,000. It actually was really close to 1,000. Pretty much hit $998. There was a lot of calls that were for 950 and 1,000 for this week apparently too. That's why it was just pushed up so aggressively. I honestly think this was a I'm pretty convinced this was a squeeze. Like, this is probably a squeeze. My goodness, guys, I don't know what to say other than wow. Like, this is day number 6. Not only 1, 2, 3. This is day number 6 of green in a row. And as if that wasn't ridiculous enough, the 6th day was the biggest day of green. Whoo, wait, man, this is, I'm not gonna lie. This is quite the market that we are in, ladies and gentlemen. But yeah, I'm pretty sure we're just in a short squeeze here, essentially. What is going on in the aftermarket here? Oh, let me just take a quick look at the aftermarket. It's just kind of zooming up and down. But yeah, there's a lot of volume in this aftermarket. What's going on? 170K on this stick here in the aftermarket. 53K here. What's going on in this aftermarket? My goodness, dude, we're in a precarious market, guys. This is a very spooky and exciting at the same time market. This is just wild. So let's just go over. So Tesla pretty much just straight rallying up from $750 essentially to 1,000 within 6 days. You know, nothing to see here, guys. Perfectly normal market. That is a move of like 32% in 6 days. My goodness, that is hilarious. So yeah, pretty much, what can we expect? Well, even before today, I was saying how I really do think we're in for a breather. Apparently not yet. I guess we're in for a breather when the market makers decide we're in for a breather. It will happen. I promise you guys, it will happen. Not financial advice, blah, blah, blah. It is going to happen. We are going to fall. And I honestly think at this rate, we might actually fall fairly sharply. Because at the moment, we are just, this is a short squeeze. This has to be a short squeeze. I don't think a lot of people are looking at this right now, this chart, and thinking, yeah, I want to buy some shares here. Like, you got to be it's kind of ridiculous to buy here, in my opinion. So this has got to be a short squeeze, which kind of makes sense considering how far and how long we've been slowly just not even slowly, but falling. So this is kind of similar to, you know, like back when this happened and you just kind of, you know, and then when you can see what happened after. Like, the point is that, like, make sure you're not doing anything too completely ridiculous, essentially. You know, like, it's good to be excited, and don't get me wrong, it's good, you know, to be happy. This is quite an unbelievable move in all honesty. But, you know, keep in mind, guys, a breather will come. Like, again, I hate sounding bearish all the time. I feel like I'm just sounding like a bear every single video at this point, but it's hard to tell you guys after this kind of move, especially after today, that yeah, I see us going to 1,100 by tomorrow. Like, it's hard to just sit here and say that with a straight face, right? Like, I'm trying to be as realistic as possible. And I personally thought that the market, I really thought this was the end of the rally. And I thought after this, like yesterday, we were going to start cooling off. The fact that not only did we not do that, but we went up 8% today is very, very, very insane. Like, that's wild. But yeah, so essentially, so the next thing I'll be looking for is, number one, a break above 1,000. If we consistently break 1,000 and hold above 1,000 consistently, like tomorrow, honestly, there might be room for a bit more. Like, straight up, like they're like, as insane as it sounds, like there very well might be some room for, you know, potentially to like 1030 or something like that, or like 1,030, somewhere around that level, maybe 1,040. Wouldn't be surprised to see that, but that's assuming we break 1,000 and hold above it. If we cannot break over 1,000, then we either slowly consolidate here for a day or two, or again, we are in a wild market, guys. As hard as things fall, they can rise up just as fast, but they can also fall back down just as fast. Keep in mind, guys, you got to make sure you're paying attention to both sides here, right? So again, A break of 1,000 means that there's potentially some more upside left. If we cannot break 1,000, then I do think we're finally going to probably consolidate and look for a breather, a very much needed breather at this point. Which again, I'm still going to be loading up shares. I'm just patiently waiting for the breather at this point. I did sell too early. I will be honest. I sold way too early. A little upset about that, but you know, it is what it is. I still have all my long shares like in my account that I don't really touch that often in terms of like the shares themselves. But I will, you know, be transparent. I am very much under the water right now on sold calls, which isn't that bad. I mean, it sucks. Don't get me wrong. It's obviously not great, but it's not like horrible. All that really means is that I'm pretty much putting myself in jail from being able to sell calls up until essentially a retracement happens, which isn't the worst thing in the world. Like big deal. Like I lose a couple of weeks of selling calls. Like not a huge deal. Obviously, I'll have to just keep rolling it. And essentially just use time in my favor. But I am, of course, I am under the water on the sold calls. So that's a little unfortunate, but you know, it is what it is. Look at this RSI. Bro, we approached like almost 90. Insane. So one thing to keep in mind, guys, is so on the RSI, right? So you can see over here, we went up to back when we were still like at 840, the RSI was already at this level, right? This like 82 level. Then we went up just to 900. It pretty much went to the exact same level without going higher. Then we did go higher. We went up to about, this is like the 940s. Then we actually pushed even higher, which is, you know, in a way a good thing. That means that there was still upside left. I did mention that, I think, last Friday. And then as we pushed substantially higher today, so essentially we went up much higher today from this top point over here. It was probably like maybe like a solid 7-ish% higher than this top, maybe 6 to 7% higher than here. But the issue is that the RSI is essentially just as high, if not lower, even after such a move. So that's essentially this. Those are the signs I personally start looking for when I'm starting to look for a reversal. Keep in mind, I did say, I think it was Friday, how the RSI, even though it was overbought, it wasn't showing a bearish divergence. It wasn't showing it yet. And that's why I was saying how, you know, there potentially might still be room for the upside, which is exactly what happened. Did I think it would actually happen? Well, I wasn't so sure. I mean, it's very hard to predict this kind of market right now, I'll be completely honest, right? Especially when a short squeeze just decides to happen almost out of nowhere on the 6th day of green. But with that being said, the fact that the RSI couldn't really break higher than with this high over here, so you can see at the bottom over here, I mean, my camera's on the way, right? No, it's not. So yeah, so the fact that the RSI at 940 was pretty much sitting at 87, and then the stock price being essentially at 1,000 is still only showing an RSI of 87 and not like 90, let's say, for instance, or something, you know, higher or fairly higher, is a sign that things are starting to slow down and you know, probably going to be going sideways and or probably finally retracing and getting a nice, very much welcomed breather, in my opinion. Because again, guys, you know, as great as it is and as awesome as this was a green and just literally just kept going up like this the whole time, I mean, first of all, that never happens, rarely, unless it's like that GME squeeze. But it's very healthy. It's a very, very healthy thing for the stock to finally cool off, for the sellers to come in, you know, people selling their shares, the stock going down, kind of, you know, give it, you know, it's kind of like when you're jogging for a long time and you get tired and you want to sit down, you know, breathe, get some new energy. And same concept here. Like you want it to come down, rest up, chill, breathe, you know, new life into it, essentially, that new buyers step in, et cetera, et cetera. Like it's very, 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 very good. Because we ran so much, though, this is where I'm starting to wonder, like, where do we retrace to? Because initially I was very convinced we'd retrace to this breakout over here, but it's like after such a move up, it makes you wonder, like, are we really going to retrace all the way back to like almost the low 800s? I mean, in this kind of market, it's very possible. Will we go there? I'm not going to lie. I'm starting to get less convinced that we'll go that far down. I still think we'll revisit the 800s. It's just, I don't know if we'll go back to the low 800s. Now, I do want to mention something, actually. So there's one person I actually do follow on Twitter that I personally think is, you know, a very good trader. So he's been calling this move. To be fair, he called it up to 954. He thought I'll get to 954. This was back when it was still like sitting in the 700s. He was calling this move. Obviously, it went higher than that. But he's thinking that there is a chance that it might still go lower overall, like lower than this. I don't think it'll happen, especially considering it did go substantially higher than what he said, or at least than what he predicted, because he predicted 954. So we'll see what happens with that. I personally don't think it'll go lower. I don't think it'll make a lower low overall, like lower than 700. Like, I'll be shocked if that happens. It might. You never know. This market is very unpredictable. It might. It very well might. You can't say it's impossible because it's very possible. But I wouldn't put my... Like, I wouldn't bet on that, essentially, is what I'm saying. But with that being said, we are going to retrace. And the question is, where do we retrace, right? So the very first thing I'm looking for, like easily the first thing I'll be looking for is a retracement down to like 880 roughly, something like that. Like pretty much just barely into the 800s, you know, to retest either the teal line and or the red line. So somewhere around, you know, like 870 to 890, somewhere in that range will be the first level I'm looking for a retracement, and see how it reacts to that. Do we hold above this teal line or do we not? Do we close a weekly above, well above it like this, or do we not? That's the first thing I'll be looking for. Once we revisit this area, which I'm pretty confident we will, probably this week as well, in all honesty, then we reassess and see, does it look like we're holding it? Does it look like we're chilling? Does it look like, you know, we're not going to break below it? Or are we going to break below it and potentially come all the way down here and retest this initial breakout of the purple line, which is also still very possible. Very hard to tell, guys. Again, the thing with these gamma squeezes is they do have a pretty explosive move upwards, but also can have an explosive move downwards. So keep that in mind, guys. So I don't want anyone to be surprised if suddenly Tesla's down 7%. It's very possible. That's the thing. These are very volatile markets, like extremely volatile markets. And it's not just Tesla, right? Of course, like the indices as well, just as well are, you know, skyrocketing. But one thing to keep in mind on the indices, so Tesla, you can see the volume actually is increasing, or like steady / increasing, which is good. That is a good thing you want to see. However, the issue with the indices is that the volume is actually lower, quite low volume today too. On the QQQ, you can see here, not very high volume at all, considering the move. And on the SPY, even worse, horrible volume on the SPY. I actually got SPY puts, I'll be honest, because this volume is atrociously low for a move like this. Like, this is insane. The fact that we're still moving on day 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 on the SPY, and we're still green, like over 1% as well, while having this abysmal volume, I'm not gonna lie, it's a little sus. It's a little bit on the sus side. It's not very, you know, it's not very bullish, let's just say that. So we'll see what happens with that, of course. But everything is essentially on the overbought levels right now. So that's why I also wouldn't be surprised to see a breather just across the market, not just Tesla's as what's it called, a stock itself, just across the market in general. So that's essentially what I'm seeing, guys. But we'll see what happens with that. That's the first thing I'll be looking for Tesla. We casually just broke through this resistance right here. So we pretty much just broke through every single resistance that we had, like as if it was nothing. Just to reiterate that one last time, we broke through the 200, the 50 moving averages, pretty much just blasted right through them, like as if they're not even there. We blasted through this resistance, which I thought would be major resistance. We blasted through the red line, we blasted through the teal line, and we blasted through this 850 line initially as well. Pretty much just blasted right past everything, just who cares? But that's kind of what happens when you have gamma rips like this and short squeezes, things like that. You pretty much just throw away technicals out the door, and you have to just kind of let the squeeze play out. And then once the squeeze plays out, then you kind of reassess the situation. And for all, I mean, we could be done, honestly. Who knows? I don't know. There could be more left. There could not be more left. Again, the only way to determine if there's potentially more left is a break above 1,000 and a hold above 1,000. Then I wouldn't be surprised to see a little bit more of a push towards maybe like 1030-ish, give or take. But on the flip side, again, if we cannot break 1,000, I do think we're going to finally start retracing. There's still the gap to fill, I believe. Pretty sure there's a gap to fill here. Yeah, this is still the gap here. We haven't really filled it, so that's something to look forward to as well. And keep in mind, guys, the SPY and the QQQ still have a gap to fill all the way down at 318 for the QQQ and all the way down at 417 for the SPY. And even apparently today, apparently we didn't even fill the SPY's gap today and the QQQ's gap today. That apparently wasn't even filled either. So yeah, guys, all I'm going to say is just, you know, don't get too greedy. I know it's very easy to get greedy. I know it's very easy to be like, oh my God, look at the gains. But the way I always think about it is if you ever want to go and show off the gains you've had, that's when you sell. Not financial advice, make your own decisions, of course. But if I've learned anything from the past, is whenever I'm like showing off any gains, I'm like excited and I'm like, wow, this is too easy. Like, look at all these gains, man. Look at all these gains. Every single time I should have sold, because literally the day after or the day after that, it plummeted. So keep that in mind. Just something I've personally learned. Take it as you will, whether you want to accept that or you want to just, you know, not. That's your choice. But if you're, of course, an investor and you don't really care too much, you shouldn't be looking at this and you're just holding. Anyway, this is a long video, 14 minutes. I didn't realize I was blabbing for so long, but this is just an insane market. So all that being said, hope you guys enjoyed. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace.